I don't know. Wow, looks like you caught me in the middle of something. My name is Nameless. I play guitar, but most importantly, I make metal kind of adjacent sort of music. And when making that sort of music, I want a specific tone. And I just wanted to talk about this fucking product you see right beside me. I'm not paid or anything. I just like it. Um, but yeah, this is Thall amp. It's a really cool way to make my guitar sound good and cool. Um, because there's like amp modelers and like other sort of hardware that does this thing, but this is a pretty simple way to just have your guitar sound good with your DI, which means your uh digital interface signal. Um, that seems like too many words for DI, but whatever. Thall, which is Thall amp. This thing is called Thall amp, and it's pretty unique. And I don't think many people know what Thall is, so I wanted to explain it. Thall is well, let me just show you the demo for Thall amp and um what got me introduced to like making this sort of tone. Now I'm not Eddie Van Halen or anything. I can't play guitar like very technically or good. Um, but I just like it when the tones sound good and it pleases my ear and I can make the guitar go into hip hop beats earlier or like quicker. It's a very stream of consciousness sort of thing, which is what I like my music to be when I'm creating it. So this band um that got this whole genre started, Philiptrapp, um one of the members, Buster Odaholm, if you see right there, wow, it says Odaholm Audio. That's so cool. That's his company. He made it. And so he is a part of bands like Throne, uh, Humanity's Last Breath, and Vildiarta. And he knows what Thall sounds like. So when I heard that he made a guitar, VST is what it's called, doesn't really matter. It's it sounds so cool, and it sounds like this.
Here's Thall amp, sorry. And the original.
And so, if a professional can make it sound like that, I think I can make it. Or I don't. And when I heard that demo, my mind was simply split in twain. Why would you release this plugin with the power to possibly change the heavy music genre, industry, whatever? I think that when put in the right hands, with the combination of influences that are already present in Thall, which are, kind of like what you just heard, but also therapeutic guitar and like, just calm. It's very Thall is very liminal. I would like to A lot of people have described Thall as like liminal metal, and I think that's a kind of good explanation. People can already extract emotions that will have People can extract emotions that will have everyone composing eight-string Thall soundtracks. Every Hollywood movie. Excuse me, I'm gonna redo that. People can extract emotions that will have everyone composing eight-string Thall soundtracks in every Hollywood movie by the end of 2035. Hell, Muse is already catching on with their latest single as of writing this script, Unraveling. But with the mix of emotions that have been shown to emerge from the crushing brutality of polyrhythmic gent riffs to the light ambience of a clean hand-picked guitar riff and the accessibility of this plugin and the accessibility of this but with the mix of emotions that have been shown to emerge from the crushing brutality of polyrhythmic gent riffs to the light ambience of a clean handpicked guitar riff and the accessibility of this plugin to execute this, I'm really excited for a possible future where I hear Thall everywhere. Hopefully not too much everywhere, but I just kind of mean in like films and like outside, just underground, or I don't even know if this is underground music, but just newer styles of music. But if you're normal, you might be wondering where the fuck did any of this come from? There are so many ways to play a low tune note. Um, most of us already have basses that are made for this sort of thing, for the low tune note. Would we want to like down tune? Well, I guess I just wanted to cover the history of downtuning. Downtuning has always been a thing. You can trace it back to E flat standard being known as the Jimi Hendrix tuning, or even as far back as the 1700s with the oud, or the ode, or whatever, with strings made of gut, evolving where the E standard tuning was sort of standardized in the 1700s iteration of the Baroque guitar that Rob Sallin has made a video on. And wouldn't you look at that? Um, he's made a video on it, and in the title is what nine string Baroque. That's or not nine string. That's crazy. That's what I'm talking about kind of today. Trying to get to the lowest tuning, or it's more like low tuning to complement the like clean riff that's usually in the songs. It's a lot better explained by someone like Buster Oldham, but I don't know. That's a pretty accurate representation. But I wanted to play this clip for some reason.
1500.
Exactly right. But the thing is, we don't think of them as nine strings. So it's important to actually call this a five-course guitar, course being a pair of strings. So when I play this instrument, I think I have five strings, and four of them are double, like a 12-string guitar.
So in essence, it's like take the sixth string that, you know, E to E, get rid of the low E, and then double up all the strings except for the high E.
Correct. So the high E has a really special name. It's called the chanterelle.
Wow, so cool. Um, well, fuck it. Like the man said, it's not how we think of nine strings today. Like this seven string. It's more like they were figuring it out back then, obviously. It's history, it evolves, guitars evolve. But, you know, that's cool. That was back in the day, but that wasn't really for tuning low because a lot of other instruments just you would just go to a different instrument like a bass, you know. But it's not how we think of nine strings today. And if you've heard of Thall, I'm sure you're in the same demographic to have heard of a nine string guitar in a metal context before, unless you're ZZ Top's new bassist, where he just has a 17 string bass. And that's kind of cool too. Um, his name is Elwood Francis. Rest in peace, Dusty Hill. Uh, well, he just needs it for every single one 4 and 5 chord in every single octave ever. So that's cool. But this is a representation that luthiers, people who make guitars, back then were just as experimental as today. And interesting to touch on one of the two major modern hardware alterations that were in the mixing pot of guitar possibilities, ultimately for modern applications to down-tune guitar. You can slap more strings on it and it'll down-tune, basically what I'm trying to say. Um, but there's also been pedals. That's I'm not talking about that. But the best way that has been shown to get guitars to be down-tuned is not slapping more strings on it, but instead making the guitar longer, like an in-between of the scale length of a bass like this and a guitar like this. Um, this guitar is 26-inch scale length, and that's pretty standard, if anything. But baritone guitars have you can I have a 28-inch scale, 28.8-inch scale length, to get to those down-tuned notes, and it's awesome. According to Samuel Gracida, he made this article. As you can see, well, it's his blog, so look it up. Um, the first 7 strings actually utilize the extra strings for lower tunings, also known as heptachords, for lower tune like chords. I'm really bad at writing scripts. Also known as heptachords in Europe, had an extra little unfretted dingleberry hanging off to do bass lines on. Same thing in Brazil, apparently with the legend Senhor Dino. What the fuck? So, according to this guy, they put the seven-string guitar existed in Brazil. Um, and they used the seventh string to play bass lines on. And it was unfretted, which is interesting. But what's even more interesting is a different look at it. Um, there's a lot of different claims for the first baritone guitar, like Dan Electro trying to hold the title, but actually they made a 6-string bass, not like this one, mine, which I'm not showing you. I might edit in a picture. But more like a Fender Bass 6. But the first actual modern baritone was a guitar commissioned by John Sebastian, built by Joe Villette. I'll have all these links in the description so you can read them. If you want to literally just learn more, there's a lot of. I'm not reading this. What I want to get to is the history of use in metal. So, they're playing these altered instruments, and that's amazing. But we even got an explanation that you. Well, I don't know why I read all of that, maybe I'll cut to this, but the first instances of it in metal, extended range guitars, specifically 7-string guitar, like this one right here. Um, I'm a metalhead. I listen to metal. Duh. Well, we all know Black Sabbath went to C-sharp standard with their 1971 album Master of Reality. Rest in peace, Ozzy. So that's sick. But they did that on regular guitars. I don't know if you knew that. One of the originators for using these extra hunky beasts for a more heavy style of music was in the late 80s with the introduction of a guitar innovator, Steve Vai. Excellent. Massively influential guitarist that, if you don't know, was chosen as David Lee Roth, chosen by David Lee Roth as a worthy contender against Eddie Van Halen after he left Van Halen. So he knows his stuff. Um, I guess. In a conversation with Justin Beckner, which is this interview, he reveals a very good point in where these young kids were going to get the concept of the 7 strings and do things with it that were beyond what I was doing. What he was foreshadowing was a small, genre-bending metal band from the early 90s using the uniqueness and strengths of the 7 string and using it to create a new sound for metal, a sound that might be a little better for introducing metal to, say, a newer audience. You know, a newer audience. Isn't that so funny? Anyway, thanks to Monkey and Head, Korn broke out as the most popular metal band to introduce 7-string guitars to metal. The emphasis on these high chaos chords with these low these low field. It changed the trajectory for heavy music forever. Now, Korn is a wonderful band that new metal isn't. Now, Korn is a wonderful band, and new metal is an incredible jumping point because during that era there was so much inspiration that led to such a unique sound, incorporating a lot of different playing techniques and tunings and influences from all different cultures and genres, like even later setting the stage for another mixing pot of genres as what I would regard as the second wave to new metal in a way, deathcore, with the flagship genres band guitarist Chris Garza of Suicide Silence regarding Korn as a major influence, choosing to go with 7-string guitars for the chaotic genre. I just wanted to bring that up because it gives context that metal really needs to grow away from the sound it has evolved into, which is, yeah, I guess I'm talking about contemporary metal with like Metallica and I guess whatever. But around the same time, there was another band stemming up more from mere thrashy Metallica influence, not just new metal scene, just the metal scene in general, using these extra strings in a separate, unique way that utilized their lower tunings in a more threatening way than even Korn could. And that band was Meshuggah. Um, I guess I'll just Meshuggah led the scene of polyrhythmic low-string chugging in metal that, thanks to the band members, had a revolutionary digital way of recording using amp modelers like Axe Effects and Pod series of products and drum triggers and samples. It's a lot of stuff. Look it up if you want to know more. It's some nerd shit. Um, Read a book, watch any documentary where Meshuggah makes an album. they'll show it off. Releasing their first demo in 1989, they quickly evolved their sound to become much more intense, with tracks that shake your skull, like Future Breed Machine and Suffer in Truth, off their album in 1995, Destroy, Erase, Improve. Then, allegedly, in 2001, they got their hands on some 8-string guitars and recorded nothing. Wow, how fucking revolutionary. They recorded nothing. It sounds great. It sounds like nothing. Well, they lied, because in this interview, Martin Hagstrom states that.
Hey, are you here? I'm Gene Simmons.
Excuse me. Gene Simmons states that.
It more or less accidentally the genre called gent, or is it Swedish djent? First of all, we're very sorry for creating that genre. We we didn't intend to. Our bad. No, but it's actually I think it's a misconception, that gent thing. I think it's kind of hilarious. It's our lead guitar player Frederick being drunk back in the day, talking to one of our old school fans, trying to explain what type of guitar tone we were always trying to get. And he was desperately trying to say, we want that j, 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 j. And that guy's like, what's he saying? Is that a Swedish word? Must be. Sounds like judge, maybe gent, maybe something like, and that's where it comes from. Really? Yeah. But drunk misunderstanding, as always with Meshuggah.
Which boils down to heavy experimental music, as stated later in the video. It's an incredible album, but the entrance into a larger audience's album Obscene, specifically with their one dinger track, Bleed. It's a banger. This track could have a video essay made out itself. It's a landmark in modern metal, not made up to. There's such a vibe that Meshuggah brings to the table that no one could ignore if they even could. Whatever. Even people outside of metal like Freddie Dredd and Bill Burr have given kudos to these Swedes. I just watched a clip of Robert Trujillo, the bassist of the band. Meshuggah started as a worship band for Metallica. I just watched a clip of Robert Trujillo, the bassist of the band they started as a worship project of, shouting them out. That's this clip.
An amazing experience, because I really believe
I don't know,
that
somewhere he says Meshuggah. They have reached an incredible cult influence for such an incredibly heavy sound. They are peak. Wow, this script is fucking cringe. There is nothing that could possibly surpass Bleeding after Nothing. Nothing, I say. How Gent connects to Thall. Vildhjarta, which is this band. I guess I'll wear the hat. I don't know. Is a progressive death metal / Thall band that started in 2005 that takes what Meshuggah laid down in 2008 and slings it into the fucking stratosphere with their 2012 release, Mastaden. I don't know what the fuck happened, but these Swedish fish just made a whole metal mess of ambient and almost symphonic compositions with light acoustic guitar samples and heavy chugs and juns that could fit in any AMV and make Kakarot feel like he has all 9,000 spuds covered. This music is incredible. The fact that metal music could come to a point this band exists is more than good enough. But they just had to fucking improve on it even more, didn't they? The guy I mentioned earlier and said he was part of Vildhjarta, Buster Odeholm. Well, yeah, I mentioned he was a part of another band that I think that band is a little better because he chose a name that is a little better to pronounce for an American audience. wow, I suck at writing scripts. He just named the band something English instead of naming it Swedish. I guess um it's Humanity's Last Breath, and their early stuff is death metal that's mixed so well and made me ask if it was death metal. Um that's whatever. Then they really solidified their sound with the release of their self-titled album in 2013.
Obviously writing I don't you guys don't inherently write music for video games, but obviously writing music for video games is like it's a bit different. It's particular, right? Like it has to have more of this atmospheric feel to it. It has to
it
be
has to have less of my own sound and more of Mick Gordon's sound.
Mick Gordon. Dude, it's crazy because like I said, the evolution of Gent to Thall. And I think now it's pretty fair to say Gent doesn't actually exist, and Thall is basically like the new age of that.
I feel like Gent melted into metalcore somehow.
Yes. Now, dude, I mean, how I can't hear down to down to down. Don't fucking give me a down to down to down anymore. No more down to down to down. Please, God, dude. Right?
Forbidden.
And like,
I
Thall
wanted
is.
to include more of this clip, but I don't care. Since then, Humanity's Last Breath has put out some breathtaking songs from Abyssal and Ashen to some songs for Dota 2, which is what they were talking about in the beginning of the clip. Solidifying this genre of Thall, Buster brings up a really good point that at least has a large hand in the sound that a lot of people have come to know as gent or whatever. And I'm sorry I didn't include more context, but he was talking in that clip about their Dota 2 edition. Wow. And how he needed to enter that Mick Gordon mindset for that which I think speaks to the creation and expectations of the average person thinking about guitar, like in this modern music. Mick Gordon, Meshuggah, and Deftones, surprisingly enough, shout out to Nu Metal. Chino, if you're watching this, I know you hated that, but if you just influence the fucking title and say you're simply different now, that's fine. But whatever those artists are, what kind of rant did I fucking go on? Whatever. I liked Doom. I liked the Doom soundtrack, and that's kind of what got me into metal. So it obviously kind of appeals to me, that all. So then in one way or another, a YouTube video made it onto my homepage with a Renaissance-looking painting of a woman cutting off someone's head, and I thought, man, that looks metal as fuck. Clicked on it on a whim, and what I heard contextualized all the music I had listened to before it, and I knew the sound that I wanted to incorporate into my music. It was so intense that I wasn't even expecting it. Everything about this music changed the context of metal guitar in music for this foreseeable future, from the 4/4 snare to hold everything. Snare? With the 4/4 ride cymbal, you fuck, to hold everything together, but with the synchronization of the odd metered kick and low chugs learned from our gent forefathers and taking the compositional elements of Viljarta, chewed it, dissected. What the fuck? Mirar. I'm talking about Mirar, the Renaissance painting, and like it's the shirt that I'm wearing. Mirar, with their drastically low chugs and piercing bends, took my brain out of my head, it chewed it, dissected my body as if it were the science experiment of a higher dimensional being, combined with this ludicrous guitar style with EDM writing and more of an EDM, dare I say, Skrillex take on mixing, while maintaining a composition that would make any Baroque era composer shit their pants and cry. I would recommend listening all the way through Mare, all the way through every last second of Couch Cat whatever, their last song. It's just I'm surprised I didn't pull up a clip, but this is what it looks like. And it's a woman tearing off someone's head. Um, that's cool. That's awesome. This is the ultimate form of intense instrumental music and what I think of when I see the word Thall. This sound needs to be included in everything. It's way too good. They put out a track with the help of Nick Nocturnal and Death Funk called Samson, and it is a perfect excuse me. They put out a track with the help of Nick Nocturnal and Death Funk and called Samson, and it is a perfect example of how you can just put this vibe into any music you want, basically. Horrorcore, down-tuned metal guitar needs to be in everything, in my opinion. I'm doing my humble part in this greater purpose of Thall, and I bought Thall Amp by Buster Odahome. Look at that. In addition to the home drums for Contact 8, so I can include this vibe in rap, trap, whatever the fuck you want to call it. My homies in North Pine and I are working on music that we think can bring people together, modern rap and modern metal with my stamp on it I'm just describing the music I create. If you want to listen to it, listen to it. If you don't care, don't. But I just do what I just described, but with, trap drums. And I think it's cool. Some people think it's cringy. Whatever. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, check out my homies in North Pine and everyone else who is attempting to make new, unique music. There are so many fucking metal bands that are doing crazy shit, like my absolute favorite band, Big Chef. Oh my gosh. Let me bring up some Big Chef. Yeah. Um, this is Big Chef, and he brings meme samples with gore grind, Thall, deathcore, saxophone solos, and whatever other stuff. It's really cool, and other bands do this, like Gore Pig. They're awesome. Within Destruction, Peeling Flesh, with their recent collaboration with Sudden Death, is incredible. Peeling Flesh in general is a massive inspiration on me. So every slam or deathcore revival band right now, like Psycho Frame, Desoectomy, The Voices in My Head Slam, I Kidnapped the Princess, Restricted, Salmapeth, Carniceria, It Came From Wisconsin, Sheila Broflovsky, formerly known as Lorna Shore 2, Wave White, Pulse Demon, The Devil Went Down to Georgia, Buttholectomy, Peacemaker, I Saw God, Dream Elixir, Disfigured, Reverent, Hive of the Mandids, Jerome, Girl of Glass, In Which Divides Us, Eat the Gun. You should take the effort to check out all of those bands and smaller metal creators innovating like Lanier, Beluga Princess, Ira Knox, which is fucking, they have really been a really great band to, oh my gosh, I guess I'm the devil now. But Ira Knox is such a cool band. And if you like MySpace deathcore, you should listen to Ira Knox. Um, as well as bigger bands, players that helped make the genre a little more popular, helped make the genre, like Carbomb, Animals as Leaders, Mestis, Hated, It's Always Sunny in Tijuana, Disfiguring the Goddess, Signs of the Swarm, Chelsea Grin, Me the Horizon, and honestly, I know this one is a controversial take, but I like the vocal Olympic types of deathcore. Definitely after Lorna Shore came out with uh, Definitely after Lorna Shore came out, there has become an oversaturation of them, but personally, Worm Shepherd is a big inspiration to me beyond deviation of sulfur, and now there are so many rappers that are taking the trap metal concept so much further than 2016 could have ever expected so far. It's incredible. Kind of funneling this sort of metal energy into rap, which I like and I am participating in. Shout out to the rapper side of this movement, in my opinion. Some I am so lucky to call my friends: Chrissy Lemon, Judas the 13th, Skits Park, Wicked Ghoul, YBA, the entire NBR clique, specifically NBR Twig, Empath 888, Oxy's Gone, Gal the Arsonist, 870 Glizzy, DJ Twist 2, the entire Doom Shop clique, and creators who are giving all these artists more of a platform, like Slam Worldwide. They're fucking sick. And also Trap Metal Magazine, which is sick as well. I don't have the link right now. The Chris Garza podcast, the Brutality podcast, in which I am a member of. Rob Scallon, shout out to Fretless. It's a amazing, sick, awesome game. Crush Bag, and so many more. Leave your favorite metal or alternate whatever. Leave your favorite music project in the comments below. I'm so sick of people saying that modern music is boring. You just gotta search for it. All the modern popular music is boring, but the underground is always where it is. Freedom of artistic expression is the thing that I believe in most. So no matter what you do, just remember that music should always be protected. Remember, I'm not doing that. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.